Okay, I'm going to do a quick walk around here of this 2014 Audi Q5 crossover SUV. It competes in the same general class as the BMW X3 and the Mercedes GLK. For this model here, Audi is offering, as you can clearly see from the huge billboard call-outs, a diesel engine in this vehicle. And the interesting and unique thing is that it is a 6-cylinder turbo diesel, 3 liters. The other cars in the class, the BMW X3, which now also offers a diesel, and the GLK Benz, both the diesels in those vehicles are 4-cylinder turbo diesels, and they are considerably less powerful than the big V6 in this thing. 428 foot-pounds of torque, which is absolutely tremendous. That's more than most gas V8s produce, just for some perspective. And to contrast that with some of the others in this class, the X3's torque output is only 280 foot-pounds, and the Mercedes, on the other hand, has 369 foot-pounds, which is good, but still way, way behind. And horsepower-wise, you've got 240 horsepower out of this thing versus 180 in the X3 and 200 in the GLK. So, as you might suspect, the performance of this vehicle is a lot better than its diesel-powered competitors. This will get to 60 in 6.5 seconds. Versus 8.2 for the Mercedes and just slightly less for the BMW. So that's a huge, huge difference. Now, you'd probably guess that there's a big fuel economy penalty to be paid as a result of that improved performance, but ironically, there is not. The EPA stats on this thing are 24 city, 31 highway, and the GLK rates 24 city, 33 highway, so it's slightly better, but not much, and you know, it's a negligible difference in terms of real-world driving. Right now, as I'm talking to you here and writing up the review of this car, I didn't have the stats available for the X3 diesel. It's a new addition to the lineup, and they hadn't published the stats yet, but in the 3 Series sedan, it's 32 city and 45 highway, so the highway number in the X3 diesel might be better, but it's probably roughly going to be about the same on average. The mileage in this is really good, and you don't lose performance. Another thing you don't lose is spaciousness. Front seat room in this thing and back seat room in this thing are pretty much the best you'll get in the so-called compact crossover entry luxury segment. And that's because, realistically, if you look at the numbers, this thing is closer to being a mid-size than a compact. It's about 4.5 inches longer overall than the Mercedes GLK. And on the inside, you get 37.4 inches of space in the back seat versus 35.1 inches in the GLK, and that's a pretty substantial difference. It's enough that, you know, a pretty big guy like me, and I'm 6'3", look at my legs here, you can see that I still have plenty of room between my kneecaps and the front seat. Good side-to-side room, and part of that is due to the fact that this is a wider vehicle than the other two vehicles in this class. Another thing that you get is significantly more cargo space behind the second row than the other vehicles in this class. The Benz only has 23 cubic feet, and this one has 29.1, and the X3 has 27.6. That's a pretty substantial difference. Yet it's not too monstrously big that it feels awkward to drive or eats up all the space in your garage. It's actually quite a comfortable car to drive, and the handling is quite good. Let's take a look at the inside. Is typically very high zoot. Audis are always very stylish and very tasteful and classy on the inside. The only thing that I'm not a huge fan of, let me start the thing up. Turn off the radar detector, turn off the radio here. All the controls are great, with the exception of an obnoxious thing beeps at you if you don't close the door, but they all typically do that. I'm not a huge fan of this MMI multimedia interface. It's a multi-function thing. You scroll through the various menus, you push on this to engage, and then you push on this, so you have to do several things sometimes to get what you want, and it can be a little bit difficult, a little bit confusing to use, a little bit cumbersome to use while you're driving. It's not terrible, it's not a deal breaker. A lot of the premium cars, in fact all the premium cars, have systems that are similar to that. Let me turn this down somewhat, make it less noisy. But you know, it's just something that you have to contend with in a premium vehicle. They do that to differentiate the so-called premium vehicle from the run-of-the-mill bread and butter. I prefer some more basic and simple intuitive controls. But that's really pretty much the only gripe that I've got about this vehicle. relative to the others in this class. You get the performance and the economy. You get the room. The only deficit is that it is a little bit pricey, which I'll get into in my review, the full review, which is up over at epautos.com. Hope you'll stop by and take a look and leave your comments either pro or con, and we'll catch up with you next time.